Hi there, I'm Rebecca and a really warm welcome back to my channel, PumpkinBecki. In this week's video we're going to be removing a Keiki from my Phalaenopsis orchid. Let's get started. If you don't know what a Keiki is, it's actually a little plantlet that forms on a flower stem on a Phalaenopsis orchid. It's a really good idea to wait until your Keiki has got some really good leaves growing. I've got two really lovely strong ones here and 3 aerial roots you can see coming off. Much less than that and you're probably in a fairly risky situation if you want to try and remove that Keiki. If your plant throws a Keiki and you actually don't want it to have one, maybe the plant's too stressed to actually support growing a baby. If the plant looks like it's suffering, if the mother plant does not look at all happy, that's, you have to make the judgment call then of whether you save the mother plant or you save the baby. Here we've been able to keep this one going. I think that the Nature's Gift fertiliser I've been using with these and keeping them strictly on rainwater has really helped keep these plants going. And this is a beautiful Keiki, really healthy. So yeah, today we are going to remove it and pop it into its own pot, which I'm sure the mother plant will greatly appreciate. So you should be able to see that the orchid has thrown a flower stalk just like it would if it was having an actual flower, but instead of a flower spike we have ended up with vegetative growth, which has grown these beautiful long aerial roots. Just to show you the difference, this is a normal flower spike that has formed. It comes from between 2 leaves, which is quite normal, and as it goes up there is no foliage at all. With a Keiki you will see leaves forming up the stem, but not with a flower spike. And then this is very long. And there we go, just at the very end we've got the flower buds coming. So that's the difference. If you see leaves forming partway up the flower stalk, it's more than likely a Keiki on a Phalaenopsis orchid. If there are no leaves forming, then it's a flower stem. In front of me I've got the important bits of equipment we need to actually perform this operation. The first thing is a small orchid pot. I've actually cut some extra ventilation in this one because it didn't have very much at all. I filled it with E-Coco's small orchid cocoa husk because the plant we're going to be putting in it is small. It needs to stay quite fluffy and not get compacted, so avoid using straight sphagnum moss or anything like that. Something barky or coir based is probably your very best bet. It's going to keep airflow, it's going to keep moisture around the plant but not hold too much moisture. Excuse this jug, it's fine. It's my rainwater orchid jug. So some of the residue you can see on here is purely the Nature's Gift plant fertiliser, orchid fertiliser, which sort of gets on the sides. It does come off. All I've done with this is simply dunk the whole thing into the rainwater and let it drain. So I'm going to squeeze some of the water out and then refluff. I've got my small secateurs and I've also got an isopropyl alcohol wipe, which I'm going to just wipe the blades off with. I've already given them a really good scrub, but this will just make sure they are completely pathogen free. No bacteria, no fungus. That will air dry really quickly on there, so you don't have to worry about it. So here's our Phalaenopsis orchid, and here's its Keiki on the end of its stalk. We can actually remove the whole stalk from the plant, but probably the most important cut I want to make is going to be below this first internode here. You can just see there's sort of a papery film at the joint there. So a nice, quick, clean cut. On this paper towel I've got some dried cinnamon powder. It's a great antibacterial for plants, so I'm just going to dip the cut end into the cinnamon powder so that it's completely coated. Now I'm going to take the Keiki and try to place it onto the bark in such a way that this cut end doesn't come into contact with moisture from the bark. I'm actually going to use the aerial roots to help anchor the plant in. Be ever so careful when you do it, when you're trying to bend the roots in. Orchids are epiphytic, so they're not reliant on soil to get their moisture or their nutrients. It's more about the humidity level. So there you can see that I have just poked the aerial roots, these lovely big aerial roots, straight out of the extra drainage holes that I made. Now if at any point it looks like these roots are going to damage themselves by being through these holes, I can cut the plastic pot away from the root. I won't try and pull the root back out. I don't want to damage the root. This is purely to help sort of anchor it into the pot and stop me just constantly knocking it over. There we go, all done. And I will just pop that on the window ledge with all the other ones. Because it's now not getting moisture from the mother plant, I've got a choice of misting the aerial roots occasionally, just until they stop being silvery and go green. Or I can dunk the whole thing again, but I'm going to have to be ever so careful how I handle it because it isn't supported in the pot at all. Right, that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to rate, share and subscribe to me here on YouTube. And until next time, bye.